Hi guys, it's me, Echo, and as you know, we did just have an eclipse on the 13th and 14th, so I just want to go over and talk about what's in the eclipse to come. Now, the last one was a lunar eclipse, okay? The 13th, about the 14th, depending on where you live, would matter, where it hit you. Um, my heart does go out to the people who experienced any weather patterns that came with that because equinoxes and solstices are when weather patterns do tend to kick up, okay? Particularly equinoxes. But we did have things that would go with a lunar eclipse, such as flooding. The seas were very turbulent and, cyclones, and we experienced that all over the globe. So my heart does go out to those people because I did used to live down in Florida where all the hurricanes used to be. And I know that the aftermath of being in those things, not just the event, can be a lot for a person to have to take on and recover from. So blessings to you guys, wishing you a lot of love, a lot of strength. We do have this next one is a solar eclipse on March 29th, and this is going to be in the sign of Aries. So the solar eclipse is going to be a highlight of, if you follow numerology, this is a 9-year, which means the closing of cycles. So we are transitioning as a whole, mankind in general, is sort of waking up and gaining awareness about where it is we're going as a culture, as a society, no matter where you live, and how we interconnect with each other, not just what we want in our individual lives, but how we impact each other on a global scale. Okay, so microcosm, your everyday, and macrocosm, how we connect to each other. This does mean you are going to be thinking a lot in the days leading up to this, particularly this month. And this did pop up a lot in my tarot readings. If you haven't seen those, visit my channel, find your sign. Your ascending sign will be most accurate, but your sun sign is also a good fallback too on where you're at. Follow those, take a look and see where you're going. And this will let you have a clearer picture of what March has in store for you. Okay. But on March 29th, you are going to be in the times leading up to this eclipse, revisiting things that are your everyday, like your jobs, your social connections, relationships. These are going to be things that are brought to the front and center. Maybe things where you have been kind of veiled or a little bit deceived on what you believe them to be, the impact they have, the level of importance they have in your life. You may have done a job for so long, for example, where you decide, okay, this is what I've always done. This is what I'm always going to do, because I like it. And then one bad day after another, or one, just falling out of love with your job, generally kind of emotion hits you. And eventually you decide, okay, maybe I don't enjoy this as much as I used to. It just feels like the really busy rat race, because this is why we revisit things, because we feel like what we've been going through has been go, 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 which everyone's experiencing. As time is speeding up, we revisit that and we're like, how can I live more in the flow? How can I live in a way that matches my vibration and allows me to grow me, right? Because this is part of life. It's a journey. It's not a quick jaunt. It's not supposed to be a race. It's actually one step leads to the next. If you think about a hero going through a great adventure, okay, first they're living in what's called the status quo, all right, and that's us now. So the status quo, usually there's some sort of this is how it is, this is how it's going to be, almost like they don't expect to see anything major happen. But then they get that call to action. If you're familiar with the hero's journey, this is actually part of that. The hero's journey actually talks about, if you've ever, followed the Star Wars series, it's very much the layout of the hero's journey and everything you go for. The call to action, what changes the status quo, okay? So you're going to get this change that's going to come to you, this call to action, but it's not really coming from anything outside stimuli, but more an inner change, a coming to terms with yourself based on outside experience and stimuli and things you've been through, okay? These are what's going to be what gives you that pull, what makes you want to readdress those situations, relationships, and jobs so that you can move forward with this eclipse energy. At this time, I do want to point out, yes, we talked about time speeding up, and I know you're feeling it. Everybody's feeling it. Everybody in the spiritual community is talking about it because this is what's going on. The Earth is tilting on its axis. I don't know if you follow any of this in astrology or how the planets are working, but It is common knowledge. The Earth is tilting on its axis, which is why we are seeing different weather patterns in places where they didn't typically used to be a thing. Such as Tornado Alley, if you look at a current map, the most recent ones actually move it further onto the east coast of the United States than it originally was. It used to be in a lot of those mid states, there along the middle. It is moving further to the east. Used to live down in Florida. I'm still talking to family down there, and they are getting more frequent hurricanes. And as such, the insurance premiums are actually climbing. So it's making people think, do I want to live here? Is this something I can still do, or should I find new things? So if you feel the urge to travel, to experience new places and new things, just on a whim as a trip, I encourage you to go do those things, where it's safe to go travel and experience worlds outside of the one that you live every day, because you never know when you might find that new space that does work better for you. I would also like to encourage people, if you do see something coming in your area and you have the time to get out of whatever this weather pattern is, please do so. Because yes, we do want to protect our home space. We do want to protect our belongings. Humans tend to be very materialistic in our nature. But if you think about it, they're just things, okay? There's only one you. So get out of harm's way, okay? Don't worry about the stuff and the things, because you will find new things, okay? Do stay safe. And if you have loved ones who are very stubborn about this, keep at them, because you would really hate to lose somebody you love, okay? Just because they're protecting things. I do want to say that if you are revisiting things in your day-to-day life, go and do so with a little bit of grace. Now, a lot of people are looking at jobs and they're like, no, I don't want to do this job anymore. Boom, let's just quit. And then you're struggling to find another job, okay? I can tell you right now that it is difficult to find work no matter where you live in the US. If you're multi-talented, it's that much easier. You're probably being pulled to go towards things that really resonate with you on a spiritual, emotional, a heart-based level, okay? Things you truly resonate with, and not just taking work to take work. And this is a wonderful thing. If you're feeling this pull, it's because we have a North Node in Pisces. And Pisces is all watery, heart-based energy. So if you're feeling that way, it is perfectly natural and it is perfectly normal. This goes for relationships as well. So don't stay with a partner if it doesn't work for either one of you. Have that talk. See if you can find a way that makes the relationship more palpable for both of you. And if not, it's best to just part as friends where you possibly can, because this is your life, just as this is their life and their journey. And you would hate to be tripping each other up just because it's what's expected of you. Follow your soul's calling, or you're going to find a little bit of misery in, how you progress. So if you are upset with things like your job, or like we said, upset with a relationship and it's just not working, not everything takes a sledgehammer. You can kind of hammer and chisel things away. I recently had to leave a job before I went and did this here in my shop, the Blue Raven, because it was toxic and I literally didn't have a choice. I stayed way longer than I should have, and my soul was absolutely giving me hell about it and telling me, look, you've got to get out of here. This is ruining you. And it started to impact me mentally, emotionally, and actually my physical health was starting to draw from it. So I had no choice but to drop it then and there when it just blew up one day. And I have no one to blame. It just happens that way sometimes. Spirit makes us so uncomfortable. We have no choice but to drop the ball and say, okay, I'm done. So I encourage you, if you do feel that pull from Spirit, to make tiny changes and ease into things, do that, and it will make things a little less stressful for you. But if you do have to leave at the drop of a hat, give yourself a little pat on the back, because you stuck it out as long as you possibly could. And you finally stood up for yourself, okay? And I'm speaking from a very personal level when I say this to you. I know that sudden changes can be very breakneck speed, and it's really hard to transition, especially when a lot of people who didn't have your same experience in that workplace, they don't really understand, because they weren't experiencing things the way you were. It may not have been toxic for someone else because they're being treated differently. Unfortunately, we are not treating everybody the same nowadays. There is favoritism in many, many workplaces and many social environments, I guess you could say. We're all about labels. And I really feel like labeling things is more a human way. And let me explain. So putting labels on things gives it a sort of comfort and identification that allows us to feel like we better understand a certain thing. Let's just take animals, okay? This is a fox. Okay, so even though it's a different breed of fox, because there are different breeds, like, an Arctic fox or fennec, things like that, you expect one fox will have similar, if not the same, habits as that other fox. So you see a fox and you think, okay, this is a fox. This is how I can approach this fox. This is what I can expect from this fox. And, then you move on to another animal and say, this is a bird. There are various types of bird. There is my raven. There are doves. There are pigeons. There are parrots. There's a million different birds. And you think, okay, this is a bird. This bird will behave this way, this way. And, if you know anything about birds, like the ones I just named, they're not a blanket thing. They don't all behave exactly the same way, okay? So this is why I think labels were put forward by humans, because we really get the idea that if we label things, we find a sort of comfort and affinity with, we know how this animal works. We know, we have knowledge of it, a better understanding and a better comfort level. But life isn't always about comfort, and labels, I really feel we put too much emphasis on labels. I identify with this certain group of people, I agree with this certain group of people, and everyone who doesn't agree with me is wrong. But that's not true, because everybody has their own truth. They identify as this because that is them. And they don't expect anyone to 100% agree with them because they're happy in themselves. So I'm just saying, as we go into the solar eclipse happening on March 29th, this is in Aries, and Aries is all about owning the self, taking charge, and taking action on what it is you know and what it is you identify. So go forward into the solar eclipse with good blessings and good grace, and understand that if somebody doesn't quite get you the way you get you, this is the perfect time to open that dialogue, have that conversation, and come together. Because like I said, we are moving to a time where humanity is waking up. We are becoming more aware, not just of ourselves, but of the way we interact with the world around us, because we are part of the greater, and we are part of a larger world. So I hope this gave you a little bit of clarity on how to navigate this solar eclipse and how to move forward with a little bit of softness. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you soon. My name is Echo. Take care.